In this video, I'll show you how to make the V pulley, and we're going to use the Revolve tool. We'll start a new part and a new sketch, and we're going to put down a horizontal axis for a construction line. Hit escape, right click, construction, and we'll lock that down. That'll be the line that we revolve around. And then I'm going to sketch this. And just try to get reasonably close to the shape now, because what I'm going to do, the techniques I'm going to use, I'm going to revolve, as I said, but I'm also going to use the mirror tool. So essentially I'm sketching a quarter of the part, because it'll be mirrored and revolved. So that's my general shape. Now I got to put dimensions on it. Now sometimes you have problems when you go to dimension. These odd shapes like this, they start jumping around. Geometry moves on you. If that happens, just undo and come back and try dimensioning something different. Trick is to keep it under control as you're dimensioning it. And I'm pulling everything back to this origin. Now, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. See what happened there? Let's see if I can save that by putting this, the missing piece there that's letting it do is I don't have the overall height. So that pulled it up. Now, it still looks a little odd, but I'm on the right track. So let's see, let's work our way down from the top now that we have some of those dimensions on there. That one's 4. And you can see it's starting to look like the part a little bit more. Got this width here, 0.5. The width at the top is 1.2. And also side to side, those dimensions are cut in half because, you know, like the width of this pulley groove, I had to cut it in half to get that dimension. Now notice I purposely didn't put this on the origin, and that's one thing that's missing here is to have it fully constrained is you got to pull it back to the origin. The easiest way to do that is dimension it back to the origin and just put a 0 and it'll pull it over. Now you can see I created a little bit of a problem there by doing that. I'm going to undo that. I should put that angle on there first. And that angle this way is 60-degree angle. Okay, now let's come back and so that dimension's there. Make it 0, pull it over. And what's missing is that right there. And that angle, I know it's 135 because it's a 45-degree chamfer. And everything's black, so it's fully constrained. I believe that's all the dimensions. Yes, okay. So let's finish that. And now we're going to revolve that. First, choose your profile. That's the blue. Try that again. Choose your profile, and then come over and choose the axis that you want it to revolve around. And what happened is I accidentally clicked that, so it revolved that way. So that's the axis, and that gives us half of our pulley basically. So we use the mirror tool. Remember, you have to click the features. In that case, it's the whole pulley, and then click there and choose the mirror plane that you want it to mirror about. Say OK, and there we have the pulley. And let's make it look nice and shiny. Okay, there's our pulley. Let's save that. Let's pulley for the V-belt. Okay. Let's put that on a drawing sheet. Put it on the B size. Now again, don't let the software decide what the views are going to be. Let's start over with that. So go up here to base and let's drag this thing over, and we're going to have to make the scale smaller. Now you can choose any of these scales. I'm going to cheat a little bit. You can just type in your own, like come over here and back up. I'll try a 1/3 scale. That looks pretty good. Let me put my other views on there. Right click and say create. There we go. And that'll work. We should be able to fit all our dimensions and everything on there. So we are going to need to, let's put our hidden lines on there. So we've seen this before. This right side view, while it's descriptive of the outside of the part, there's all the features that we would need to dimension are hidden. So that's really not a very functional view. And likewise, if I did a top view, I'd have the exact same situation. So we're going to add a section view. So if you go to section, click inside the box of this view, and then find the center. Come up above the, don't click it yet, but come up to the top and click it. Come down to the center, don't click it yet. When you get past the bottom, click it, then right click, say continue, and you'll see you have a section view you can pull to the right or left. I'm going to put it over here. You can see how much better that view is than this one. In fact, I don't really need this view anymore. I'll just delete that. Right, so that's the process of making a section view. Let's go through it again. Okay, base view. I'm not trying to, there we go. Let's flip that around. Right side view. Oh, let's see, where's my, gonna have to add a ISO. Okay, that scale looks about right. So again, that view isn't really any good for me. Let's just delete that view. Go to section, click in the box of the view you want to build the section view off of. Find the middle, but don't click it. Bring your cursor up, click above the top, click below the bottom, right click, continue. Now see how it's labeling this B? You shouldn't have a B if you don't have an A. So just go up there and type A. Say OK. Oops, I put it on the wrong side. There we go. Again, if you only have one section, it needs to be section A, not section B. If I go and add another section, same thing. Click inside the box, find the middle, click outside, outside, right click, continue. See, it's telling me it's C because it goes sequential from the very first view, very first section view that you did. So that view would be section BB, etc. Right now, that is exactly the same as that right side view. I don't need that view; it'll add anything. And we should have enough room to add the dimensions. There's quite a few dimensions on this. If you think about all the stuff that's happening there, and I'll kind of try to quickly go through this one. It does take a while. When you put your center line, that's okay, but if you want to stretch these out, when it's the main center line of the part, it should be relatively visible. And again, when you're dimensioning all these diameters, if you do this, it's quick and easy, I understand, but it's really a cluttery mess, and it doesn't really do much to describe this object. You're much better off if you put some of those interior diameters on this right side view. So I'll put the outside diameter and the inside. These others I'm going to try to put on this view if I can fit them on there. Let's see, I can get the overall width here. I can get the width of this. Let's come back to that. Now remember, these are going to be diameter dimensions. So don't just leave it as like a linear dimension. put your cursor over to the left, add a diameter symbol, right? It makes much more sense to see it spelled out as a diameter. And I can come in and cursor to the left. I come in and rearrange these. Now that's kind of a crowded mess, but I can do a lot to help clarify that. And the other thing I'm going to do is spread out some of the dimensions I'll put on the right and some I'll put on the left, kind of stagger. And the larger one should go on the outside. Oops, cursor on the left. Okay, so we have the inside, we have that one. We need that guy right there. So it takes a while to dimension this. There isn't like a ton of dimension. It's just the geometry. This part makes it a little bit tricky. Okay, so we have that edge, that one. We're missing that corner right there. And you can tell if you're not sure, just go ahead and put the dimension on, and then if it's redundant, just delete it. Okay, so see how you can move these around so they're still readable, but it doesn't take up too much real estate. Okay, so I think I'm good on that. I'm going to just proceed as if I am. We do have a couple of width dimensions. If you notice, there's the overall width and there's also the width of the hub, so don't forget about that. So I'm going to take that dimension off of there. So you see what I mean? That, if I recall, that was that's 2 inches wide. Now, you have a lot of stuff happening here. It's kind of challenging to fit that in there. So now is a perfect opportunity to add a detail view. That's a great little tool. So if you click on that and sort of click kind of on the center of this, and I'm going to try again. Oh, first click in the view, and then you want to click kind of in the center and just pull the thing out, and it's going to capture that much of the object, and it'll make a new view for you. Now notice I don't like the way it's labeled because I was playing around with those section views. This says this is an A, this should be a B, right? So you can, the easiest, let me show you, just redo that anyway. Do it when you first put it on there, it's a lot easier, and it's good practice for us anyway. Okay, so click in this view, so in the red box, and then we're going to make this a B, and then click near where you want the center of this thing to be, and then just pull your cursor out till you're satisfied that it's captured what you want, and bring it over here and find an open spot. Now don't line it up with your other views because that's kind of confusing. So it should be obvious what's happening, and they do this interesting kind of cutout thing, so that helps to sell that as well. So it's an inflated view of this. Now if it interferes with these dimensions, if it makes those hard to read, then it's easy to pull those out. So now I have kind of a clean slate for my other dimensions. So for example, I want to call this dimension out. I'm going to try to keep this neat because it's still a lot of information I'm trying to show. Lots of different ways we could sell this. The other thing I do definitely need this angle. So let's see how we can get this angle on here without too much of, that's the problem. That there we go. That doesn't bad at all. And then I think lastly, if we get the depth on this, I didn't really like that point I got though. There we go. The depth on that. I think that takes care of that. So kind of a lot on that drawing. It's not a super complicated part, but there is a lot happening there from that cross section. So the sketch is a little bit challenging, I know. Once you get the sketch though, you really got. It's just a matter of doing the revolve. Oops, that was supposed to be uppercase. And we're going to want to call out the material that this is made out of. Just say it's cast iron. And I think that's everything.